Welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard Live. I am Precious Chukudi. Begin with the front pages of the papers this morning, starting off with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with presidential tussle, anxiety as Tinubu Atiku Obi, APM resume battle at Supreme Court. The writer says Apex Court begins hearing today. We have confidence in Supreme Court, and that's coming from PDP. And this one is coming from Ononuga, says that Atiku will be engaging in another round of propaganda. Also, we can see a photo story showing Access Bank boss, now CIBN fellow. Pandef MBF slam Gumi orders over campaign of calumny against Wiki. On page 10, 57.6 billion naira for 360 SUVs. SERAP drags rep to court. And on page 19, we have high cost of borrowing. Federal government targets domestic markets to fund 9.05 trillion naira budget deficit. Stories above Plateau. Appeal court sacks Senate minority leader Mwad Kwon. And on page 6, report of attempts on my life false, and that's coming from Yahaya Bello. Killings. Benue CP bans protest, tightening security. And of course, we can see a tribute on page 23, eulogy to an epitome of integrity, Mr. Kintola Williams, and that's from Oshunkeye. Lastly, on the front page of Vanguard, we have inflation, contractor cites Naira value, poor funding for refusal to return to site. Let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with at 1,200 naira to a dollar, 989 naira liter to a liter. Fuel spike squeezes air travel pricing, and we can see an infograph showing that report. And hashtag NSAS, Palano ask ministers to review a plan on a 500 million naira fine for convicts. Rethink palliative, step up productive engagement. You can read that editorial on page 12. Wike clarifies meeting with Israeli envoy as Pandev ICN knocks Gumi. Coalition results to protest lawsuit to stop purchase of 57 billion naira SUVs for lawmakers. Supreme Court justices down by one as Musa Dachido bows out. And that's all we can take on The Guardian. Let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. The Nation is leading with Edu. Tinubu's homegrown plan good to revive economy. The writer says there is no likelihood of Nigeria seeking international assistance on debt restructuring. And we can see a photo story caught in the act. Paris-bound businessman excretes 93 wraps of heroin. You can read that on page 123. Our emergency economy bill targets tax reform, job creation, others. On page 4, Supreme Court justices dropped to 10. Hearing of presidential poll verdict holds today. Stories above. Fake Nadeko plots anti-Tinubu campaign. The writer says US APC raises alarm. Lagos halt illegal land reclamation in Ikoyi, Aleki. You can read more on page 123. Why we can't return to sites by federal roads contractor. 5 die, many injured in Kwara petrol truck accident. And that's how we can take on the Nation. Let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. The Punch is leading with 3-year blueprint. Federal government plans a 26 trillion naira borrowing, 29 trillion naira for debt servicing. The writer says debt servicing to exceed capital budget spending by a 7.69 trillion naira amid slow economy. High debt servicing costs creating potential fiscal risk. Government laments. We can see a photo story showing five died, 15 injured in Lagos Ibadan highway crash. Friends mourn Nigerian medical student killed in Philippines. You can see that on page 4. Israeli Hamas, Biden, Pope, protesters want ceasefire. You can see that on page 42. APC PDP hopeful as Supreme Court battles start today. Stories above. We have Naira slumps further, exchanges 1,190 to a dollar. Fuel hits 685 naira to a liter in the north. You can read that on page 31. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Assassination. Police probe alleged attempt on Bello. Alright, and that's all we can take on the front pages of the papers. Join us after the break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining, still today in the news on Vanguard Live, I am Precious Chukudi. Joining me to talk about some of the stories on the front pages of the papers this morning is Mr. Ali Mohammed, CEO of Magnet Communications, also former editor of Daily Times and Concord News. It's good to have you join me this morning, sir.
Good morning, Precious. How are you?
I'm very well. All right, let's delve in. Of course, the battle for the presidency resumes today at the Supreme Court. What are the expectations?
Well, tensions are high everywhere, and it is normal when you have a situation like this. The Supreme Court is the highest court of the land, and it will take a final decision on the elections that held earlier in the year, which is being contested by the PDP, the Labour Party, and other parties. It's normal that there will be tension in all the political camps, but eventually the case will be heard and there will be a judgment day. We should be looking forward to that day. The implications for the country, well, it could be grave if the Supreme Court rules otherwise, but I pray we don't have any bloodshed.
So, what do you make of Atiku asking the Supreme Court to admit the document that says that the president's results doesn't belong to him and all of that?
Well, like I said, the other parties that are querying the election that brought Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in as the president of Nigeria have every right under the law to do what they are doing. And it is right and absolutely normal for them to do what they are doing. If they don't, and they resort to other means of venting their opinions and fighting to reclaim their so-called lost mandate, it will be difficult for the country to cope with the effects that will come out of such an alternative action. So the best way is the way they have chosen to go. So let it be.
All right, moving on. Now, according to reports, federal government's 2023 deficit amounting to 11.6 trillion naira is being funded with just 31.9% domestic borrowing, while the bulk of the deficit funding is at 68.1% was raised from foreign borrowings. Now, what are the implications of the 2023 deficit financing structure?
It's going to have a serious impact on the economy. When you continue to borrow from abroad to fund your activities, you are not even talking about activities that are beneficial to the people. Activities that are beneficial to a few. It is unfortunate. Honestly, I am not happy about what is going on, that we have so much external loans and we have not stopped taking loans to fund things that are not as important as they should be. And so we should, they were talking about looking inwards to fund those debts. How do you want to do it? Most industries now are operating at nearly 0%. I was in a company last week. They had to buy about 10 petrol generators because they couldn't afford to run their big gen with diesel. 10 of them connected to different sections within the company. That is not the best. We should have regular power supply by whatever means we can. There should be regular power supply in this country. I believe that at 63, Nigeria deserves to have regular power supply, and government must make this a priority, because if you don't have a regular supply of power, it affects every facet of life. The hotels are not running fully. The companies are not producing at 100% capacity. Everything will be grounded. You understand what I'm saying? So we deserve to have constant power supply. And we need to pursue that agenda by all means. If that is what a government will come and do, so be it. It will help to boost the local industrial sector that we are looking into for the funding of foreign loans. Because that sector that you are looking into is almost at a comatose. Most factories are not producing at all. I don't want to start mentioning names. They are all retrenching. Why? Because of the high cost of diesel. Diesel is now over 1,000 naira per liter. Petrol is going up and up and up, and nobody is making any attempt to check what is going on in that sector, all in the name of deregulation. By my own understanding, if you are deregulating any sector, you create a level playing field in that sector. Those who want to import petrol, let them do it, but let our refineries start working so that you create an alternative source of refined products. But we don't have any of our refineries working. Private refineries that have been licensed, they are not working. We had Dangote refinery that was hurriedly commissioned by President Muhammadu Buhari. They have not rolled out a drop of refined petrol. What is going on in this country? We need to sit down and plan the economy of this country in such a way that the recovery will be fast. The way we are going, I pray, we always resort to prayers. There are some things that you don't pray for, but you walk towards them. There are things you don't have to pray for. If you walk towards them, they will happen. But I want to join those who are praying that things will work in Nigeria.
All right, still according to reports, Nigeria's economy is on a warning status as it has ranked 60% in the economic macro risk indicator. What do you have to say
But that's
about
what I
this?
just told you, Precious. That's what I just. It's not looking good at all. I am in the private sector as a media consultant. Let me cite my own example. What is happening in that industry as at today? That industry is almost dead because the jobs of public relations and advertising have been taken over by the social media. Every company goes on social media now, create TikTok, put whatever advert they want to put there, and start running it. Contrary to what was happening in the past, if you must put out an advertisement, you need a PR and advertising company. If you must run an effective and popular organization, you need a PR and advertising consultant. But today, everybody has become a media consultant. Illiterates have become they have all become media consultants. So that industry is dead, so to say. If you sit down and continue to waste your time thinking that you are into PR business, you are just joking. It is high time you look for something else to do. The same thing in so many other sectors. Look at the breweries. They are the ones making money now because every month they increase the prices of their products. Why? Because a lot of people resort to drinking. At the end of the day, they have all gone out to struggle. You come back and hang out in a bar, take one or two bottles to cool down yourself from the tension of the day. They are all making money, but the price is also going up. A bottle of beer now sells between 600, 700. Spirits, the prices have been jacked up. Now come to the hotel sector. If you have a 50-room hotel and you have 5 guests lodged there, you are compelled to put on your diesel generator to power air conditioners in those rooms. That's it. Don't forget that it is a 50-bed hotel and you are running a diesel generator of 50 kVA with diesel of over 1,000 naira. Are you making profit or you are making a loss? That sector too is going through a lot of turmoil. Now come to the downstream sector of the Nigerian petroleum economy. When Buhari came out with the so-called deregulation policy, we all shouted that, look, you don't deregulate when you have not fully prepared for that deregulation. You are deregulating. They have allowed importation of petroleum products. Your refineries are not working. So what are you deregulating? You have just created an avenue for some Nigerians to make free money. At a point, they started paying, the excess money that those who were importing were accruing. They tagged that one subsidy. At a point, the CBN, the Minister of Petrol, the Managing Director of NNPC will come out and tell the country that it is only NNPC that is importing fuel. And yet you are paying subsidy. To who? Is NNPC paying itself subsidy? I don't know what is going on. You see, people think we are stupid in Nigeria when they say they are paying subsidy. At a time, NNPC is the only company into it. As at today too, NNPC is the only company importing fuel, because all the other petroleum organizations that are importing fuel cannot access dollars to import petroleum products. That's why there is queue all over petrol stations in Nigeria today. You see, when you have such a situation, it is not good for the economy. You are hurting the economy. Petrol is the only product that we produce and we export. Go to the IC and see the huge theft of crude that is going on there, being perpetrated by uniformed men. Are you helping the country or you are killing the country? The government is not doing anything about all that. Money going into private pockets are more than the money going into the federation account. So how will such a government survive? You keep telling the people to buckle up, tighten your belt, yet some few people are making millions without lifting a finger, just engaging in fraudulent activities. The economy cannot grow. Those in government must cut down on the volume of dollars that they are spending.
Yeah,
Look
no,
at what was spent during the United Nations conference in New York recently. What is wrong with people sleeping in Nigerian house? What is wrong? The Nigerian house in New York is as big as a state house. And so we have to sit down and determine whether we want to truly run an economy that will grow over time with appropriate policies being implemented strictly based on the determination that we want to regrow the Nigerian economy.
all right. Now dollar is now like about 1,200 to a dollar. What should we expect from now on, especially with the unification of the exchange rate?
Look, Precious, the truth of the matter is that we must de-emphasize the system of estimating our income, our systems of spending in dollars. People will sit down in Nigeria and start estimating Nigerian money in dollars. We must stop the dollarization of the Nigerian economy. How many things are we exporting? We import almost everything, including water, into the country. How many things are we exporting? The airlines in Nigeria, the foreign airlines in Nigeria, they sell their tickets at a very exorbitant rate on the excuse that they are not allowed to ship out whatever they have made in Nigeria in dollars. Go the same airfare, New York, Lagos in Nigeria will cost 3 million. But Accra, New York, Accra will cost less than 500,000. Why do we have such the differential price in the cost of tickets? Because we have dollarized our economy. They said they can't ship out whatever profit or whatever money they make here in dollars. Why would government not create a special window for these people to be able to access their funds and take them to their operational basis in other parts of the world? It is important because if you have such a situation, you are buying ticket for over 3 million in Nigeria, and the same ticket is being bought for less than 500,000 in Ghana. Then you sit down and look at the cost. If you want to go to any part of the world now from Nigeria, if you don't have 2.5 million, you can't travel. Go and check it out. We must stop placing emphasis on the use of dollar, even in government circles. If that emphasis is reduced, it will boost the naira. But go to any part of Nigeria now and see an agency of government whose operations are not based on the use of dollars. You will hardly see anyone. You will hardly see anyone. So we must allow our currency to grow. We must allow our currency to be our currency. You cannot dollarize the economy and still think that that economy will grow. No. There are people in banks now. You know what they do? If you go to a bank and you say you want dollar, you want to buy dollar, they will tell you there is no dollar. There is a malam sitting down right inside the bank that they are ready to refer you to that will give you that same dollar. So you now sit down and see that there is a collaboration between banks and all these malams that are selling dollars. I have experienced that, but I won't name the bank. If we continue to run our economy like that, it will not grow. Unfortunately, we have a lot of the masses that do not have sufficient naira to purchase the dollar they need to travel. So if you want to travel now, you have already spent over 3 million to buy your ticket. You have to look for at least another 1 or 2 million to buy $1,000. That is not too good. It is not in the interest of the ordinary people. Traveling out of Nigeria now has become a luxury. Lagos, Ghana, Lagos, that used to cost 100,000 is now close to 1 million. And so we have the government will have to sit down and touch on the nitty-gritty of the economy in such a way that if this is done, it will boost our economy and the naira will be respected. Not the way it is now that we have 1,200 naira to a dollar. You sit down and start asking whether the naira have any respect in the international market.
All right, let's move on and talk about this. And SERAP has asked the Federal High Court to stop the House of Rep from procuring and taking delivery of a 57.6 billion naira 360 sports.
Are you sure that is not too late? The car would have been taken. The car has been bought.
I saw photos already. And
the car has been bought. That action is too late. The car has been bought. You see, it is sad that we are in a situation where government is saying Nigerians will have to tighten their belt, and the government itself is loosening its belt.
And they also said they couldn't pay salaries.
Yes, due to the expansion of their waste. It is unfortunate. 360 bulletproof jeeps. That's a lot of money. What happened to the ones used by the former senators and the House of Reps member? They were given those cars to take away as their pension benefit. That is a lot. I don't pray for an uprising in Nigeria, but these are the kind of things that led to coups in other parts of the world. I don't pray it will happen here because the military government is not even a good alternative. The best military government cannot be an alternative to the worst civilian administration.
Because it looks like the government is laughing at our faces when they tell us to tighten our belts, and then you hear they're buying cars.
That is what it looks like. That is what it feels like. But it is unfortunate that we have this kind of situation on our hands. Look at government officials spending $600,000 on a week trip to the United Nations. It is painful at a time that people cannot even eat. A lot of people cannot eat. People will think that the next person is better, not knowing that it is jacket that you are using to cover your shame. There are so many big boys now that cannot even afford to run their homes. And so the government must sit down, cut down on administrative expenses drastically.
Why are we not hearing about them cutting, the cost of
I have
governance?
not had that too, but it is very important for them to cut down the cost of governance. It's too high. Now what, $600,000 on a foreign trip at a time the economy is dying, the economy is not doing well. So we have to sit down and reorder our priorities as a government. We have to sit down and take the interest of the masses into consideration as a government. We have to sit down and work seriously to strengthen the economy of this country. It is very important. If you don't do that and you continue to support your local spending with foreign loans, it will boomerang one day. That's as at today, we learned that salaries are not being paid in some federal government agencies. We are getting to a very bad level. And I think it should be curtailed. It should be controlled. It is very important for those in government to sit down and do a proper assessment of the economy and find a solution to it.
All right, so let's touch on Mr. and Mrs. before we go. And Mrs. is speaking this morning. She says, "Come on, honey, he's just a young bachelor." And then Mr. responds and says, "So what? The other time he came to borrow buckets, then he came back for gas cylinder. Now he's here to borrow chairs for his
So
guests.
Mr. is
That
protecting
must stop.
Mrs.
Otherwise, one day he will say, 'Can I borrow your wife's car?'"
It should stop. Actually, I'm supporting that stoppage right away. You must not allow such little things.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ali Mohammed, the CEO of Magnet Communications, also for my editor of Daily Times and Concord Newspaper. Thank you for sharing your thought with us
You're
this
most
morning.
welcome.
Also, remember that you can equally like, share, and subscribe on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. Find out today's stories. Go to our website, www.vanguardngl.com, to find out more. I am Precious Chukudi. Thank you for watching.